The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus said to his disciples, "Whoever loves me will keep my word, and my Father will love him, and we will come to him and make our dwelling with him. Whoever does not love me does not keep my words. Yet the word you hear is not mine, but that of the Father who sent me. I have told you this while I am with you. The Advocate, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you everything and remind you of all that I told you. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, do I give it to you. Do not let your hearts be troubled or afraid. You heard me tell you, I am going away, and I will come back to you. If you loved me, you would rejoice that I am going to the Father, for the Father is greater than I. And now I have told you this before it happens, so that when it happens, you may believe." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
I've been a part of many youth retreats over the years. I remember something a teenager said in a retreat talk years back. He said, "I wasn't always with God, but God was always with me." Think about that. I wasn't always with God, but God was always with me. Jesus said, if we keep his words, he and the Father will dwell with us. He didn't say, if we don't keep his words, he and the Father won't dwell with us. God sends the Holy Spirit, the Advocate, to everyone. The Holy Spirit, God's presence within us, is life. We don't have a choice over that because it's up to God, not us. Now, we can choose whether or not we follow the words of Jesus. We can choose whether we tune in to that presence of God within us. But we can't send God away. God's voice, that Holy Spirit, God's voice is always there with us, teaching us everything. It's kind of like the voice of our parents that's always there with us. Kids hear the voice of their parents even when their parents aren't around. We know what our parents would say to us and tell us to do in most any situation. We can deny it. We can claim ignorance. But let's face it, we know. I have to admit, I didn't always do what I know my parents would have told me to do. I know you find that hard to believe. I also have to admit that in those situations, it usually didn't turn out well. I still hear the voice of my parents today, and they've been gone for 30 years. I have to admit I don't always do what I know they would tell me to do today. And still today, it usually doesn't turn out very well. God's voice is always there for us. It's within us. God's voice is always calling us to love and be merciful. No matter the situation, God calls us to love and be merciful. Anything else is not from God. It can be difficult to determine the loving thing to do in a particular situation. And the loving thing to do is often very tough to do. But that's what God calls us to do. And that is only what God calls us to do. When we listen to the words of Jesus, when we follow his way, we know his peace. It's not like the peace the world gives, because that peace comes and goes. That peace has conditions, and there's fear of retaliation. And in the peace that Jesus gives, there are no conditions, and there's no fear. It's knowing deep down that we are in tune with God. It's knowing we are living the way we were created to live. God is always with us. And when we act in love, we are with God. And when we are with God, we know true peace. And nothing we experience can take that peace away from us.